Glenn, that was a really interesting presentation. Tied in very closely to what we presented earlier about personalization using AI. So next up, we're going to have a closing panel with our travel leadership team. So real quick, if you do want to ask questions to the team directly, you can do so through the app for the event. You just go to My Schedule, find the leadership panel for today, and you can submit questions through there live. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the team. We have John Billings, Michael Brownfield, and Surain Adyanthaya. We can clap for them.
I don't think so.
Thank you guys for being here. So I'm sure you've met several of these folks in the past couple of days at the conference. So we just wanted to ask a couple questions about what were your key takeaways from the conference this last 3 days now?
Yeah, I know from my perspective, it's been a mind-blowing experience actually sitting down and listening to a lot of the customers actually discuss some of the issues that they're facing. Also, a lot of the topics that some of the best minds discussed over the last couple of days. I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, there are some reoccurring common themes that we all need to take very seriously. And you know, the speed of business is here, and we need to make sure that. I think John Bruno was the one who said that, you know, the technology is there. The technology exists to increase the speed of business. If things are going slower, it's usually due to people and culture. So I think we really ought to take heed to that and really think about what we need to do tomorrow to actually continue the future of our success.
And why do you think it's so important to have a conference like this, like Outperform, where we bring in experts from revenue management and distribution?
I think it allows us to get closer to our customers. Obviously, that's really important to pros since we have long and deep relationships with a lot of our customers. It's an opportunity for us to reconnect in a way that is really personal and allows us to talk about topics that are important to both of us. On a different level, it actually is really important for our customers to talk to our other customers as well. So I think this is really a forum for different airlines to get together and talk to each other about the innovations that are happening in the industry. And as the industry gets more complicated and starts moving faster, it's also an opportunity for the entire travel ecosystem to really show up and have really deep and meaningful conversations about what's happening next over the next 12 months before we get to the next Outperform conference.
If I could add. What I think is always interesting at these events is you get to see the commonality of the issues and problems that many of the airlines are dealing with. Things like globally optimizing revenue versus like locally with just the seat or the ancillaries, the movement towards offer optimization, dealing with all the distribution challenges today. Elton mentioned 30,000 to 1 look-to-book ratios at TAP. And how do you deal with this? You know, what technology do airlines need today? Will they need next year, 5 years from now? You can see these trends much more clearly when you have so many airlines together. And I would say the other thing that's really important to us at Pros is it's an opportunity for our product team to share thoughts and ideas and get feedback from a large group of customers. And that really helps drive our focus and our product strategy, which is very, very important to us.
Great. And there's a lot of talk around personalization. What do you think airlines should charge for a loyal customer? Charge more since you are sure to retain the customer, or charge less because he or she is your favorite customer? Interesting question.
Could you repeat?
Yeah, I'll take
it.
You want me to take a stab at it while you pass it to them?
Yeah.
So I actually think, I mean, the interesting thing about that question is that it assumes that that every transaction is somewhat binary, right? What's interesting about the way the industry is moving is it's all about truly personalization, right? So this assumes that you're offering the exact same thing to different customers. But in reality, what customers are actually looking for, if you're looking at a truly loyal customer that you have a long-standing relationship with and somebody who you have a different relationship with, you really should be providing different offers to them. And then it actually takes price out of the equation and makes whatever you're actually offering to them more relevant to whatever their unique perspective and situation and needs and wants happen to be. And then price just becomes a function of whatever the offer that you're actually putting together for them happens to be.
Yeah.
I don't know, Surain, you probably have a take on this as well, I would
It's
imagine.
going to be fascinating to see how personalization evolves. The first step, most likely, will be some form of segmentation and having unique offers for those customer segments, not at the individual personal level. And there's tremendous value and potential uplift. We've seen this already with airlines who have implemented fare families and experimented with this. It's really helped with their segmentation and driven revenues. I think Delta spoke about making $100 million in Q1 with just their basic experiments in this area. So there's a lot of potential there. But beyond that, personalization doesn't necessarily have to be, I'm going to charge John $5 more than Michael. It's more likely this is the package of things that is more relevant and important to John, and this is a different package of things that's important for Michael. And identifying what the interests are and what the needs are for that unique individual or customer segment, and creating that right package and increasing the likelihood of conversion. So that's probably the direction personalization will most likely go.
Great. So each of you have sat in several meetings the past couple of days with our customers. What are some of the key issues that you want to drive momentum or keep moving pros forward?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking about this afternoon actually. In several of the meetings, it was crystal clear that inevitably the majority of our customers, they want the path to offer optimization. And so we're actually going to do some different things with our customers and kind of lay out a fan, so to speak, of where they are today and the steps that will need to be taken over the next 3 years or so in order to get from where they are today to offer optimization. So that was something that was kind of a recurring theme.
Yeah, one of my takeaways is that our customers are hungry for innovation from pros. I mean, the recurring theme in every single individual meeting that I sat in with customers, and it's certainly across all the panel discussions and individual keynotes that I was able to attend, are that our customers want to look to pros to really drive the innovation agenda. And I think there's really two components to that. One is obviously there's a products component to that, and just making sure that from a technology perspective that we're absolutely at the forefront and the bleeding edge of where the industry is going. But John alluded to this earlier actually in talking about there's a people component to that as well, right? That there's no way that any of our airline partners or any of our partners in the travel industry are going to be able to really get from point A to point B without support from pros and actually charting the journey, right, and taking the people along in the process and managing the change throughout and remapping business processes and working on what the organizations of the future need to look like, which is something that's a challenge for us as well because some of these things are new, and I think the partnership opportunity with our customers is really there, and we as pros have an opportunity to really seize on that.
Great.
And there's beyond what was just brought up, there's definitely a big interest in AI and can that work for us as an airline. We spoke during this conference about various initiatives we have at Pros with machine learning, AI, deep learning techniques. But beyond that, we know that many of our airline clients are conducting their own experiments, and my expectation is that this next year we'll see some of the results. We'll be able, when we're sitting here next year or wherever we're sitting, we'll actually be seeing results of how AI is generating value in the value chain for our customers.
Great. Well, thank you guys. We don't have any more questions coming from the audience, so I know, John, you wanted to say a couple of words to close out.
Sure. So what must start must also soon must end. It's been a whirlwind 2 days. There's been a great deal of discussion around various topics from some of the greatest minds in the industry. It feels like it's over way too soon. There's so much more that we need to discuss. And me personally, I feel like that I'm better for having sat in on the sessions over the last 2 days, and I hope that all of you agree. So now that we are finished, now what? What do we do now? What's the next step? I would ask that as you go back to your day job, that you get with your departments, you get with your organizations, as early as next week if you can, and discuss some of the things, some of the findings out of this conference in order to to continue to drive your continued success, and try to do it as early as next week, so while it's fresh on your mind. Again, kind of restating what John Bruno said earlier, he said that the technology is there and to enable the speed and to enable us all to accommodate the obstacles and the opportunities associated with modern commerce. But the speed at which we travel, if it's a bit slow, it's usually because of culture and people. So look, if please reach out to pros. We're eager to help you. As we continue to support you and support our innovation so that we can help you win the race. So though this particular session is over with and we're actually finishing up in this room, we do have an event planned right after this track at the Grotto, which is right next door. There'll be several people leaving right afterwards to walk you over. We're meeting on the lobby floor. You go out the entrance and you take a right and you'll see a banner. It's called the Grotto, and it'll be a really nice way to wrap up the event. So we wish you all safe travels, and on behalf of pros, we'd like to thank you once again for making Outperform 2018 another outstanding event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.